What's barappin', my fellow Nitro heads? I've had multiple people recently reach out to me and ask, "Hey, can you do a in-depth video of cleaning one-way bearing systems?" And yes, absolutely, I'm gonna do that. And for anyone else out there, if you have any other questions or video responses, just let me know and I'll try to help you out as much as I can. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, since none of those engines right here have no pull starts on them, I've got an engine right here with a pull start on it. So I'm going to show you how I remove them. So there's 4 screws right here. Some have 3, some have 4. So we're going to remove these 4 screws. You don't have to take them all the way. Just loose enough so the pull start will come off. And if you can tell the screws are loose enough for the pull start to come off, if like your pull start starts moving like this. So next thing I do is some pull starts have like a little spring to keep the cold spring in place. So what I recommend anyone do for any pull start, it's a good practice, just grab a thin screwdriver and gently wedge it underneath and keep applying pressure like this and grab the pull start and slide it off. That was your one-way bearing, but this is how you safely remove your pull start, because some don't have a cage to keep this in, so this can just come out. And I promise you, if this little reel right here goes flying, your day's shot. Your day will be ruined. You'll be ticked off. Alright, once you have your pull start or roto start removed, you may notice your back might look different. So there's 2 different types of one-way bearing styles. So this style right here has an internal one-way bearing. So say for example, if you go to remove your one-way bearing, you just grab it and you see a shaft come out. That means you have an internal one-way bearing. If you go to grab the nut right here and only the nut wants to come off, that's an external one-way bearing. So I'm going to show you how you clean each of these systems. So let's just start with the internal one-way bearing, since I find some people can be intimidated by this. So you can have 4 screws here. This one's missing a screw, but let's just pretend there's all 4 here. So I'm just going to break these off in a crisscross pattern. Like I said, we're missing this screw, so we'll just ignore it. So once we crack them loose, we're just going to unscrew these. Okay, here's our last screw here. Another safe practice to do is make sure your piston's at top dead center. This doesn't really apply with any RTR engine that I've ever seen, but it's just a good practice. Make sure your piston's at top dead center and gently wiggle your back plate off. As you can see, it came off. And also look at your engine. Inside, this one looks pretty fresh, but I assure you this engine's pretty mangled up top. So anyways, you can also look at the inside of your motor and see how it's doing. So anyway, this is your internal one-way bearing right here. This system, you don't really have to note which way the one-way bearing goes, because it's kind of obvious. It only goes in one way. You can't put it in this way. It's kind of impossible to put the motor back together. So what I would do is first look at the one-way bearing itself. If it looks all crusty and corroded right here, take some Scotch-Brite and just clean it up and make it all nice and brand new again. Same with this surface, it wouldn't hurt, just grab some Scotch-Brite and make it brand new again. So cleaning the one-way bearing itself, I'd grab any kind of contact cleaner, just use brake clean. You can either just spray it off with brake clean, then blow it off with compressed air or canned air. Or what you can do is grab like a water bottle or something if you don't have a container, cut it open, throw this in there, and let it soak for a while. Me, just to save time, I'm going to spray this with brake clean and blow it with air. Alright, so we got some non-chlorinated brake clean. That's what I'd recommend, non-chlorinated. So you're just going to take your one-way bearing and you're just going to spray it all out with brake clean. Then grab your compressed air or canned air. I recommend compressed air because there's more pressure. If you notice the stuff coming out of your one-way bearing is all black, keep on flushing it out until the blackness goes away. Okay, so now we're going to remove a starting cam here. I'm going to grab a clean rag with some brake clean on it. I'm going to wipe it until we get all this crap off. Then we're going to go in here as well with it. Just clean everything out. Here's a little something I'm going to add here. I just have some Scotch-Brite here. Don't use any sandpaper. So we're just going to take the starting cam and we're going to go this way. As we can see here, hopefully, we're starting to see some little scratches. So we have some scratches going this way. Now we're gonna go this way with it, and we're gonna see the lines go both this way and this way. So now we're going to have those little scratches going in all directions. That's going to allow some grip no matter what, no matter if you have oil on your one-way bearing or not. We're just going to re-clean this again. Bam. So now what I'm going to do is add a little oil just to the upper part of the starting cam, just so this part right here gets some oil and doesn't get all scratched up and wear out. The one-way bearing, we're not going to put any oil on since it's an internal one-way bearing, so it's always going to get oil from the fuel inside of the engine. So to line the one-way bearing up again, I'm going to have my engine somewhere around the 9 o'clock position right here, right? And see these little grooves? There's 2 grooves on each side of the one-way bearing. I'm going to look at this one-way bearing, and if you can see, there's a wear mark here. So we're going to put this in the exact same spot it came out. So this little piece going that way, right, went to the pull start side. So that went to the opposite side of the exhaust. The exhaust goes that way. We're going to put this side on the non-exhaust side. And we're going to face the worn side in the 9 o'clock position also. So this is going to be opposite. So we're going to go like that. And we're going to just gently rock this on till it stops. And we're going to spin this till it grabs the crank. We're going to spin and push down. Bam. Notice I'm spinning this, and the starting cam is spinning also, which means we're grabbed. We're going to line this back up. And we're going to put our screws back in. Don't go overly tight, just nice and snug. Just a nice little nip. Bam, that's how we fix a slipping one-way bearing on a internal one-way bearing motor. Now let's go to the external one-way bearing. This is a lot more simpler than the internal one-way bearing motor because we have just this one-way bearing here. So remember, with the external one-way bearings, you can mix them up. As you can see, they will go that way. So if you're paranoid about mixing it up, just grab like a little screwdriver or pick or something and just scratch yourself a little identification mark. So we're going to do that here. If you can see right there, we've got an identification mark. So we're going to take this off, and the shaft right here is all oily, so we're going to clean it up. Again, we're going to do the Scotch-Brite. So now this is all scuffed, which means it's going to give us some grip no matter what. And we're going to clean this one-way bearing again. Just for fun, I'm going to show you the other process I was talking about cleaning it. So just use a water bottle or a container. All I have around at the moment is a water bottle. So we're just going to cut our water bottle up. Okay, that wasn't too pretty, but we're just going to grab our one-way bearing, drop it in there, and we're going to let it soak with some brake clean, and you'll probably see some like yellowy or brownish color. You may see some kind of black color. So just let it sit there and get all the oil and crap off. Just careful if you're using like a water bottle or something, that the brake clean doesn't melt your water bottle, because it might. So if you have like a real glass container or something, you could like let it sit all night. But using the water bottle method, I wouldn't let it soak for more than like 5 minutes, or like at least non-attended anyways. So gonna let this sit and we'll get back. Next thing we're gonna do is, I got like a little pin here, And we're just going to put just a little bitty dab of oil on it. Like, you probably can't even see this little dab of oil here. Just the tiniest little drop of oil. And we're just gonna go like this around the shaft here just to get just some kind of oil on it, because it still is a bearing. It still needs some kind of oil. So that's that. There's our cleaned and serviced one-way bearings. Now I'm going to show you how to put your pull start back on. So just got our example motor here. So it just simply drops on. Line your screw holes up and then screw these in. Don't go too tight, because if you go too tight, you're going to crack and make a mess of your pull start. And it could even also cause your pull start to bind. So as soon as it stops, just go like quarter turn. So we're going to use the MIP logo as an example. So as soon as it stops, we're just going to go like that. So once more, there's our MIP logo. Bam. So that's pretty much it, guys. Any other video requests, questions, comments, let me know.